It's like I planned that. I mean, I did, kind of. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Thank you all so much for joining. My name's Allison Michaels, and I'm a part of the Viva Engage product group. So fun to see so many of you, even in some of your Christmas matching sweaters. So thanks so much for joining us. And I wanted to just do a quick housekeeping, and then I'm going to pass it over to the event experts and the reason why you're here. But if you do have questions for us, would you please put them in the Q&A across the top? And then just because this is a webinar, we would love to make sure that if you're hearing something interesting or something that you really love, can you go ahead and check out and make sure you know where the reactions are? That's different than the raising hands. Does everybody know the difference? Will you show me that you know the difference really quick? Show me how you're feeling today with one of your reactions. Let's see, a couple of hearts and hand claps, and maybe if they share something really exciting or really surprising, you can do the crazy emoji surprise face as well. We are just so glad that you're here, so glad that you're curious. So, and then just, of course, to answer the question before you all ask, and actually Andrew already asked the question is this session being recorded? Of course, this is going to be recorded. We're recording it now, and then we'll also share and post in our customer community as well as on YouTube. So that way you can kind of share it with whoever did not make the call live. So again, thank you so much for joining. And we actually have a few more events coming up. I know it's crazy of us to kind of jam all of this into December before everybody kind of hits snooze for the holidays. Hopefully you get some time to rest. But we have two events coming up. If you haven't already joined us for a First Friday event, we're having our last one of 2025 tomorrow morning, US time, with Elaine. She is the technical advisor to our chief communications officer, and so she's going to give a really interesting spin about communications and kind of from a tech perspective. She's got a dev background, so she was a developer kind of back in her time. So I love what she has to share. We're really excited about that. I'll drop the link in the chat for you all to join. And then next Tuesday, so many of you are always asking me, literally all of you, I know who you are. I see your names on there. You ask me, how are other people doing it? I want to learn from others. It's probably one of my #1 questions that I get asked from customers. And we have Tiffany from Micron, who is going to go behind the scenes, and she's going to share with you how they're using Viva Engage to roll out Copilot at an organization at Micron. And if you've ever been a part of a conversation with Tiffany, you know what an excellent storyteller she is. She's hilarious. She also kind of gives you some really real insight and some lessons learned. Plus, she's included some data too. So I know many of you are always curious at benchmarking, and they've got a really great opportunity for you to do that. So I'll drop the links in the chat. Feel free to join. Feel free to pass them on to the right people as well. If that's not you, feel free to join, and all are welcome. All right.
And one more note on that note, surprise for Allison, because she doesn't even know this. We just figured this out this morning. But one more opportunity to learn from your peers. We're going to have some of our top MVPs and special guests from EY join us on January 8th for a webinar that's in partnership with the Microsoft 365 conference. And it's going to be about sort of a combination of today and December 9th. It's going to be about how to use events and communities to drive Copilot adoption. And they have some incredible stories about what they're doing at EY. And so that'll be January 8th. We just didn't get our act quite together in time to put it on this slide. We'll follow up with you for sure.
Great. Sounds good. All right, Dan, team, take it away. I'll be quiet.
All right. Welcome, everybody. My name is Dan Holm. I am a group product manager on the Engage team, which means I am honored to work with an amazing team of people who do the hard work of creating events experiences, including some of the people you'll meet today, Pallavi Verma, Trisha Lybrook, and Jovi Webb, who are all here today, as well as Raj Jain, who's not able to join us on screen today. And I'm really happy to represent their work and the work of dozens of engineers and designers and share with you the future of events and Engage. We've got a lot to cover today. We're going to talk about how we do it at Microsoft. We're going to talk about what you can do today. And we're going to talk about what's coming very soon in the next quarter, so that you can start planning your event strategies and mapping those needs and objectives you're trying to achieve with what's coming from Engage. Let's start with Microsoft. Microsoft uses events as a key way to foster connection and encourage engagement between leaders and employees. Since Satya became CEO 11 or 12 years ago, he used what we call town halls to bring people together across the organization at scale, hundreds of thousands of employees from around the globe, and to give them an experience that makes them feel like they have direct access to the senior leadership at Microsoft. It wasn't just standing up in front of people and spouting out top of mind with PowerPoint slides. It was about engaging them, allowing employees to ask questions, senior leaders to respond. And that is how Satya turned this company around and set us on the track to where we can now be one of the leaders in AI, was that cultural transformation. And our communicators at Microsoft, who do an amazing amount of data analysis on communications, the impact of those communications, and how those map to both employee thriving and employee productivity, have identified that events are really the top channel for employee communications at Microsoft. They're one of the most effective ways that we can move the needle quickly in a company the size of Microsoft. So there's three types of events that I would say sort of pop as core scenarios at Microsoft. One is our town halls. We continue to do these town halls. They're starting to use the features that you will see next quarter, and so we're looking forward to sharing those with you. But they still share that fundamental objective of giving senior leadership time to share top of mind, but also to respond to what's top of mind with employees. Second is organizational all hands. Below the CEO level, divisions, departments who are driving their all hands, their town halls. And for example, our Chief Marketing Officer, Takeshi Numoto, does a regular town hall where they announce it early on Engage, they gather questions, and then they host the event itself. You'll see those features as well. The third really big scenario that's becoming even more and more important in today's world is training and development. With AI transforming not only the world, but our business as Microsoft and our products that we deliver to you, it's critical at Microsoft that people are able to skill. And so there are lots and lots of training and development efforts, which are increasingly centered on Engage, because Engage gives you a way to tie those efforts together and create a greater impact from that collection of events. And that sort of leads us to a key question that I want to answer early on in this session, which is why host events in Engage? You can go into your calendar in Teams or Outlook today, and you can schedule a webinar, schedule a town hall, schedule a meeting. What's better about doing that exact same thing from a community or even a storyline? Let's talk about that, because that's in the end why we're here today. It's because by hosting events in Engage, it allows you to amplify your impact and to reach people and drive greater effectiveness before, during, and after the event. There are several ways that happens, and you'll learn more about these as we go through this hour. The first is engagement. Having events be not just a one-way broadcast, but a two-way channel for communications, questions, answers, ideas, and feedback. The second is Engage helps you tie your events into your broader communication strategies, making it easier for you to drive awareness and registration, because communications that originate in Engage will reach your target audience, not just in Engage, but in Teams and Outlook as well. The third is the ability to have a place to come and see a collection of events, a calendar, so to speak, to create a space where you can point people to, here's all of our training events, here's all of our all hands events, and the ability to foster community around the collection of events. So it's not just each event that has engagement, but the whole effort. If you think about Copilot and AI training, for example, each event has engagement, but that whole effort has engagement as well. You can build a community around people who are learning about and applying Copilot and AI in your organization. And finally, events shared and Engage get into Copilot so that the content is available and can serve to distribute knowledge and information well beyond the date of your event. I think we all are kind of aware that if you schedule an event from your calendar, very few people actually ever go back and look at it. Yes, there's a recording. Yes, there's a transcript, but it's actually restricted only to those people who had access on that day of the event. If someone joined the organization after, they don't have access to it. And it's really hard to go back and find it later for people. By having all this information and Engage in a space that is dynamic in its membership As people join your organization or leave it for that matter, the access to that knowledge becomes more dynamic and more flexible. And as that knowledge gets into Copilot, those same people will have the ability to not have to find the event at all, but rather ask Copilot to do something, ask Copilot a question, and Copilot will be able to pull the knowledge from those events. In short, if you happen to follow our Ignite announcements, events become part of your work IQ, that body of knowledge that you can leverage for AI and agents. So today we're going to talk about what's new and coming, and I'm going to put it all in one picture here to sort of help you understand what we're going to talk about. Then we'll talk about exactly what's today, exactly what's next, and go into deeper details on each. So what's coming are a slew of new capabilities and features that you have asked for. We know that the events capabilities we launched in the pandemic helped a lot of organizations navigate the pandemic and remote work, but there's features that you've needed, and you're going to be really excited to see what's coming. Here are a couple of buckets of feature capabilities. First, greater integration of events directly into communications. Yes, today you can send a link to an event in an email or a calendar invite. We're going to make it more automatic and more streamlined for you to reach your audience and drive awareness of your event. Second, every event will have a page, an event page. You can think of it like a little microsite for your event, where you can send people, they'll find the details, they'll find a feed of engaging conversations and announcements, and they'll be able to add that event to their calendar or register for the event. The event feed itself is the core engagement experience beyond the video of the live event itself. It's a place where people can ask questions, get answers, share discussions, engage with each other's posts through replies, reactions, and upvotes, and control over that engagement experience. You have asked for many, many years to be able to control what happens during an event, to manage those feed options. You're going to get those capabilities. The ability to enable anonymous posting, for example, the ability to moderate posts and approve what gets published for others to see, the ability to reply privately to a person who's asking a question without everyone seeing the conversation, and the ability to reply without being Dan Holm, but being organizer. So you can sit behind the identity of your event. Though all those things will help you get ready for the event and drive engagement, the day of the event, you'll be using capabilities powered by Teams. And Teams is introducing some incredible new long asked for capabilities, including 1080p video. We already have support for ECDN, including Microsoft's ECDN, Green Room, so that people who are presenting can gather and talk before they come on stage, controls over attendee capabilities like mic and camera, and live reactions like we're using here in this meeting today. Then after the event, recap capabilities will help you generate a transcript and a recap and share that with your audience. And your audience will be able to come back to that event page and see all of those recap assets and be able to catch up with events they missed from your events list. And last but not least, and this is something Jovi will talk to later on today, much deeper insights about how people were engaging, who attended, and how they engaged with both the live and the recorded event. So you're going to see all these features coming. I wanted to set the stage. We're going to go into them, and that way you'll know that your favorite features are going to be talked about as we go through today. So with that, let's look at live events in communities.
Awesome. So you all must be really familiar with this live events and communities. More recently, about a couple of months ago, we did GA the Town Hall experience, which was an upgrade from the previously existing Teams live events. For those of you who may not have used it, we just wanted to take a couple of minutes to walk you through what that process of creation looks like and also show you the attendee point of view. So if we can move into the demo, we'll see that you have here a community, which is company news and events. And now I can go to the events tab as a community admin and create event, where I see both the legacy and the new option. I can select the new option, and then it brings me to this creation page where I can put in the event name, I can put in the details, description. The visibility here is set to public, which means anyone in the organization can come and view this. I'm going to definitely add a co-organizer. I can't do this alone. And then I'm going to add the presenters as well. And then in the event settings, I can choose if Q&A is enabled. Now, of course, once you start an event, it is important that you also encourage your attendees to maybe post something. So here I'm going to put in a pinned post that's going to stay at top of the feed at all points of time. And it's really encouraging my colleagues to come in and ask questions or upvote relevant ones that they want to be answered. And then when it's time, you can see here that,
Oops, sorry.
oh, good. When it's time, you can go ahead and join the community broadcast. It brings you to your familiar Teams environment. You can click on join now. Here you see this is the interface. This is the pre-live interface. On the left-hand side, you have the manage screen option where you show up, but you can also choose what you would like to share. And this doesn't just show up automatically. You have the option to bring the content on screen as you would like it to be. So I'm going to choose the content that I want to bring on the screen and start the event, which is when the broadcast starts, right? So this is a time when everything is going to start getting to the attendees. And then after the event is done, I can just simply click on end event. And when I do that, clicking on end event will end the broadcast that goes to the attendees. The event organizing crew will still remain within this event, right? And then I can just leave it to sort of kill that going. Now, looking at it from the attendee point of view, you can see that there is a company town hall that's live here in the banner format. I can also come to the events tab and look at what's up next or what's in the past. Click on it, it opens this beautiful view where I can see the event. I see the same post that Adele had put in, that was there. And so I'm going to go ahead and like it. And then I can see the video stream on the left-hand side, right? And Dan's going to talk about the town hall capabilities that come with it. I'm not going to spend too much time on that, but this is the attendee view. Essentially, the attendees can come here, they can ask their questions, post any comments that they might have. A very familiar pattern we see is event organizers typically collecting questions before the event, and then during the event, they have discussions. So this is what's already available today. Now, one of the things that we do highly want to encourage you to do, and I'm going to also put in the link for this, which is to use our Teams event services whenever you have a large-scale event that's coming up. This is a full-blown support service that's offered in terms of event creation, helping you with the right steps, the technical assistance during the event, live monitoring, and so on, right? And so it's very important that if you have a big event coming up, at least 2 weeks ahead of the event, you do reach out to your customer success account manager and ask them to sign you up for this so that you can be handheld through the entire process so that your big event goes completely fine seamlessly. So that was the community live event experience that is now using Town Hall. It's available in the legacy version. But again, Town Hall is the new and better experience for the many reasons Dan stated. So we would highly encourage you to give that a try. The other event experience that already exists today is the Ask Me Anything event style that you're familiar with. It's the Reddit style AMAs, mostly asynchronous, and it's text only. Common ways include like ask the expert anything, ask the leader anything sort of a session. And this is something that today is only available in Storylines. So like I said, the best use case in this case would be it's either hosted by a leader or by a community expert or someone who has some subject matter expertise. The feed is definitely a lot richer than what you see in your live events experience today. Some of the amazing capabilities like moderation, which is choosing what you want to publish versus not, so that it's visible to other attendees, anonymous, all of these good, smart, rich, moderated feed capabilities exist today in Storyline AMAs. And the best part, if you haven't already heard, is that now this is actually available to all Engage users. Previously, this was guarded behind a premium license, but today it's available for everyone to use. So if this is something you haven't explored yet, we highly encourage you to give it a try. Now, one of the things we're going to look at is how we have leaders across the board in our customers as well as within Microsoft. How are they using both Ask Me Anything as well as the community live events together, right? So what leaders do today is they use Storyline AMAs pre-event to gather questions from attendees, right? And for the during part of the event, they use the community live events experience where they answer questions that were asked during using this Storyline AMAs live. Now, if you see this works as a way to like get their job done, which is to have pre-event questions and then answer them live during the event. But the problem that it creates is that essentially you have to create 2 different events for this. So with that comes the burden of having to do double the creation, double the management, promotion, and all of that stuff, right? And so what Dan's going to show you now is how we heard this main pain point that we have from a lot of our customers and try to integrate this to make everything one single interface.
Yep. And very importantly, this is where we're transitioning from what's available today to what's coming over the next few months. So the present is finished. We're now going to start looking at the future. And of course, we'll have time to answer any questions you have about what you heard as we get towards the end of the event. But as Pallavi said, we've seen customers creating two events, creating both an AMA and a community event in order to achieve their goals. Now we're bringing those together. And it's going to be in the first of the new event types we're going to describe called community broadcasts. So let's take a look at what a community broadcast looks like. And as you'll see, the primary difference for a community broadcast is we're bringing this advanced feed with moderation, anonymous, all of the feed controls into the event experience before, during, and after the event. So here we're in a community that is used as a company news and events channel, and we're going to create a similar type of all hands to what Pallavi just showed, but this time using community broadcasts. So I go to the same events tab, I click create event, and I get a form very similar to what Pallavi showed you, where I can enter the details of the event, the title, the start date, the description of the event. Now, because I started in a community, the event is hosted in a community, and the real key here is that I can choose to add a meeting or a broadcast to this particular event. So it's the same AMA foundation now incorporating a video experience of either a meeting or a broadcast. And we're going to start with a broadcast here, again, a company town hall type of scenario. I'm going to enter our CEO, who's the star of the event, and feature her because she's the reason people are coming to the event. And now I've got the moderation options to really control what type of engagement I want to have before this event begins. And in this case, let's say that I want to encourage employees to submit questions, and I want to allow employees to upvote each other's questions to give me signal as to what's really top of mind for them. So I'm going to disable most of the engagement features, but allow attendees to ask questions and to upvote each other's questions. That's a great start, but I know that by allowing anonymous questions, you get not only higher quantity of questions, but you get much higher quality of questions. Because the reality is people do have stage fright about asking questions to leaders, and therefore they keep their mouths shut and leaders don't get that invaluable feedback. So I'm also going to turn on anonymous posts. Now, if we're going to have anonymous posts, I probably am also going to want to have moderation enabled so that I've got the ability to approve posts before they are published to everyone in the event. So this is a great set of options for my before event experience. Allowing questions, allowing upvotes, allowing anonymous for that quality, and moderating posts. So let's keep going here. So now I have an event feed, and we're going to switch to an attendee view. Grady hears about the broadcast and goes in and asks a question. So he's able to publish a question in the event. This is the event page with the event feed, and he's going to go ahead and ask this question anonymously. So he puts in a question about our business and our strategy right now, and he's able to ask that question anonymously simply by turning on that toggle. So he asked that question, and then we go back to the organizer point of view. The organizer has a view of the questions that have been submitted. They can publish or dismiss those questions. And when they publish those questions then become visible to everyone in the organization on the event page. They can upvote each other's questions and give us that signal. Now, before the event happens, I'm going to change my engagement options. So this is a couple of days before the event. I need to give my leadership time to prepare. So I'm going to disable any additional new questions or upvotes to give us time to sort of prepare the answers for the questions that we want to address live. So again, I can use these engagement controls for a couple of days before the event. And then just before the event, I'm going to turn the feed into one that allows people to participate and talk about what they're seeing in the event. So I'm going to allow them to ask questions. I'm going to allow them to post discussions, in other words, comments. I'm going to allow them to comment on each other's posts and to react and reply. But I'm not going to have time to moderate posts. I'm going to let this be a discussion. And we do not have a promise to attendees that we will actually answer questions. In this case, we've already gathered and prepared our answers. So I'm just going to turn this into a basic engagement feed by allowing by allowing reactions and replies. All right, so I save that, and now we're ready for the big day. The event is live. This is Grady. He sees the event is live. He jumps into it. And just like we saw with the current experience, there's a side-by-side view of the feed and the event. And what's really cool here is it's the exact same feed that we were seeing before the event. We see the same question that was submitted, and leaders can then address that question. So, and then after the event, that recording will be available on the page for attendees to return if they missed the event, to return if there's something they want to view, and they'll see the recording and the feed on that event page. So that's the new community broadcast experience, bringing together the powerful feed of the AMA, or Ask Me Anything, and the powerful live event experience you produced with Town Hall into a single consolidated offering now called Community Broadcasts. And again, this will be something you will see hopefully in the spring of 2026. I shouldn't say hopefully. You'll see it in the spring of 2026. Now, in addition to upgrading the broadcast experience, we are really excited to be bringing meetings to communities. This has been something that our customers have asked for a very long time in order to help them drive learning and development, to build communities with ERG meetings and such. And now you're going to be able to take this exact same kind of meeting experience that we are all in right now and host it in a community to get all those benefits we talked about earlier: communications, calendar, Copilot, etc. So let's take a look at the community meeting experience. So here we are in a community focused on Copilot and AI adoption at our organization. And in this community, we host learning events. So these learning events, we don't want them to be broadcasts. We want everyone to be able to participate, to come on camera and mic and ask their questions live, for it to be much more interactive, just like this kind of meeting that we're in today. And so we're going to now go to this community's events tab, and we're going to create a new event and give it a name and title. We do a series of 15-minute learning sessions, really snackable, easy for people to consume. And it's hosted in this community, so the community is already the host. Again, the real magic is we're now attaching a meeting to this event, which is powered by Teams. It's everything you know and love about Teams meetings. And in this case, I'm going to organize it, and I'm going to add our expert, Alex, and feature him. So he's the face of the event, the reason why people are coming. And who can attend is based on the community. Because this is a public community, anyone in the organization can come. We'll talk a bit more about calendar invitations in a moment. And in this case, what I want to do is I want to make this feel as much like a meeting as possible. So I'm going to make a couple of configuration settings here that will make the event feed feel just like a meeting chat. We're going to allow people to ask questions, to post discussions, to reply, to react. We're not going to allow anonymous. We're not going to worry with moderation. This will feel very much like a meeting chat, except it will be available before, during, and after the event in very powerful new ways. So I've determined my engagement pattern. I'm now going to click create, and we've got the new event page again. Now I'm viewing this page right now as an organizer, and I'm going to do something similar to what Pallavi did. I'm going to post an announcement about the event and pin it to the top of the feed. Now, I, as an organizer, have an invitation to this event in Outlook. This is a normal Outlook invitation, just happens to look a little fancier, but you can see it's got all the information that I put in the event description, title, time, everything's there. This is sent to organizers by default. Now, let's talk a little bit about how I can drive demand for an event in these new event experiences. One way would be just to edit the calendar invite that I already have as an organizer and send it out to a distribution list or my potential audience. But sometimes you don't want to spam people's calendar. If you think about it with this 15-minute learning series, for example, I don't want every event to go on everyone's calendar because they'll just start hating me, right? In this case, it's more of an event that I want people to have the option to join. So I've got the ability to copy the link to the event and then send it out in my normal communications. And one great way to communicate is to originate in Viva Engage. So I'm going to create an announcement in Viva Engage about the event with a link to the event. I can make it an announcement to reach the members of this community, and everyone else will discover it through their feeds and digests. So this is a soft way to drive awareness of the event. And the great thing about communications that originate in Engage is that they reach people in the apps where they work, like Outlook. So now this is an attendee, Grady, and Grady is in Outlook that's where he spends his life, and he sees the announcement I just sent. And notice it's completely rich and interactive. He even sees the animated GIF. He can react to the announcement. He can reply to it. And of course, he can click the link, which takes him to the event page. And on the event page, he can add it to his calendar, a long-awaited ask from customers. So we've got a way to push invitations to potential attendees, and we've got a way to drive awareness and let them opt into that event. Either way, it ends up on their calendar so that when the day of the event comes, they know it. So now and Grady's also going to ask a question. So Grady comes in and asks a question. This again is a training scenario. We're not allowing anonymous, but he's able to ask that question so the presenters can prepare more effectively for the training event. And again, that shows up in the event feed on the event page. Now it's the day of the event. I'm Megan. I see my calendar invite. I could actually join it from there, but I also get the reminder from Outlook that opens up the same invitation that I had on my calendar. I click view event and I click join meeting. Couldn't be easier to get into the event. And this is a meeting, so it behaves just like every other Teams meeting you're used to. People can come on camera, share their screens. And Teams does give you a lot of options to say attendees do or don't have microphones, attendees do or aren't able to share. And the key piece of magic here is that event feed from the event page that we saw before the event is now available during the event in the Q&A panel. It's one event feed before, we're seeing during, and after the event. So that conversation and that engagement can flow naturally through the life cycle of the event itself. So let's keep going. So we see those conversations and can engage with those conversations during the event itself. Now, after the event, the recording and the event feed show up on the event page. So now we're Grady, after the event, we're able to come back, review that recording, see if there's an answer to our question, etc. And we have this information that is available to go into Copilot because all event content that comes from public communities is already indexed for enterprise search and Copilot. So people will be able to find and benefit from the knowledge that was shared in this snackable 15-minute session, even if they weren't able to attend in person. So, let's say I'm Grady and I missed all of this. Perhaps I didn't even know these sessions existed. I'm a brand new employee. I'm able to come to this community where I know our organization is driving our Copilot adoption, and I can go to the events tab and see that calendar of events, both events that are coming up as well as events that have happened. So I can catch up with those events that I missed and benefit from their content. Some of you might know, we announced this at Ignite, we are very close to bringing communities into Microsoft Teams. What that means is that all of this goodness we've shown you will show up inside of Teams. So what you're seeing here is the exact scenario I just showed you. It's our Copilot and AI community. It's the events tab showing upcoming and past events, but it's showing up in the chat app in Teams. So you can see right alongside my individual chats, my group chats, my channels, I can get to my important communities like our Copilot and AI community. I can get to their events. If there's an announcement, it's going to show up as a bolded item in the left navigation. So there's a lot of goodness that comes from this integration of your events calendar into native Teams experiences. And again, I can scroll down and see those past events as well. And when I click into an event, I won't even leave Teams. That event will pop out into a native Teams window. So if we look at our broadcast scenario, for example, and I click on one of our events, that event will pop out right. So it feels like I'm just living inside of Teams. The lines between Teams and Engage are blurring. And so if you are a Teams user, you won't ever have to ask, am I going to Engage for this? You're just going to go to the thing called Company News. Happens to be powered by Engage, but it is, in fact, a community in Teams and the events experiences in Teams. So that's an overview of what's coming. We're going to now go for a few minutes a level deeper to talk about the features and give you a quick review, sort of like in case you missed it, and then we'll stop for Q&A. So Pallavi?
Yeah, awesome. So this is something that Dan already sort of pointed you at, right? Like why host events in Engage? And we spoke about how it can help drive engagement, better for communications, centralized calendar, and helps really build community, which is what Engage is all about, right, to begin with. And then, of course, the beautiful power of Copilot, making knowledge more long-lasting instead of it just being a moment in time, right? So we're going to go ahead and deep dive first into engagement. And the key part about engagement is that when we think about an event, we should always look about engagement as not just an during event experience, but it's a before, during, and after event experience across the entire event life cycle, right? So the first thing we want to do is before the event, how do we drive engagement? So you see this beautiful event page, which has all of the details around the event so that the attendee knows what to expect. There's the add to calendar option that some of you were asking about, which helps you with a single click add this to your calendar, because if it's not on your calendar, are you really attending the event? And then, of course, you have the event feed itself, which is the primary area where we want to drive engagement, right? So this is where you can post in questions or discussions. And we see all our event organizers generally encourage folks to post this beforehand, right? Now, our event feed, of course, comes with a lot of rich capabilities. There's anonymous, there's private replies that Dan spoke about to have like a dialogue between the organizer and the attendees. There's upvotes as a capability so that organizers have like some sort of insight into which questions are top of mind for folks. There's the best answer capability. I know there was a question in the Q&A that, how can we make sure that we are able to give extra signals to Copilot? What is a more valuable knowledge source? Best answer is one of those metrics that we're going to look at. So if some answer is marked as best answer, we'll try to give it higher weightage to Copilot, right? You also have questions and discussions, right? Like I said, a common pattern we see within Microsoft is pre-event, organizers want people to ask questions so that, they have a heads up on what is top of mind for folks. But during the event, they are more focused on just allowing more free-flowing discussions to happen. Now you have control to choose when to have questions on, when to have discussions on throughout the event lifecycle. Anonymous is extremely helpful in case you want to have a more open and safe psychological space that you want to provide to your employees to ask questions. We've already spoken about moderation. There was also a question on export questions. So you guys are asking all the right things. I'm so happy we were able to address a lot of what you're asking for. Export questions with one single click helps you download all the event posts. And so you can go ahead and then analyze them by putting them in Copilot or good old Excel, right? And just figuring out what are some of the top key themes and ideas that, are coming up so that you can bucket those and then send forward to presenters to address live. So this is all happening before the event, but then comes the main event, which is during the event. Now, the best part is the event feed that you had before the event is going to be the same feed that's going to show up during the event when the event is live. So none of that knowledge is lost. Today, when you use a combination of Storyline AMA and a community live event, those are two separate feeds, right? They're not intersected, which means people have to bounce around quite a bit. But now this is going to be one single feed before the event, during the event, and after the event. So all of this knowledge is always going to be present for people to interact and engage with even later. Say you missed an event, you want to know what answers did our leaders give, or there's a follow-up question you have, you can always come even after the event. You're also going to have the recording in place, which is something that you can choose to replace. We hear a lot from our organizer customers that they want to, maybe edit out a certain part or reduce the size of the recording. You can go ahead and replace that. We also have an AI recap coming, more on that later. And then, of course, like I said, the event feed is always there for you to continue to interact. And this knowledge is just going to be more permanent. And now let's look at what happens with analytics of all of these engagement.
Awesome. Yes. So after your event, you want to make sure that you view your analytics. With the new analytics experience, event organizers we'll be able to analyze metrics across all of these new engagement experiences that we've been discussing. So as an event organizer, you'll see a snapshot of your analytics directly on the events page through a summary card that includes some new metrics like tracking who's added the event to their calendar. There's also a full-fledged dashboard available for your events that includes metrics like posting activity over time, event page visits, reactions. There's also an overview of top conversations that includes both the top questions and discussions that have been asked and published during your event. And for each of these conversations, you'll also get the detailed conversation analytics that are available to you directly through your event analytics dashboard. So all of these metrics will be updated in real time throughout the duration of your event. And we've made filtering your data easy through the date range at the top that allows you to navigate between all time, so you can see the before, during, or after, or just the during event view. Exporting this data is also available. And finally, in the case of events with videos, after the event has concluded and the recording is made available, you can view those video metrics directly available through an integrated experience with the video platform that you used. So we're very happy to share these updates with you all today, but we're just getting started and more is to come. Back to you, Dan.
Awesome. Hey, Giovie, I'd love to ask you a quick question. I got it from a customer just before this event, which is, do we have thoughts about integrating with the team's reporting and analytics at some point in the future?
Yes, we do. That's coming soon.
All right, people will be excited about that. I know attendance report is a highly desired feature. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. All right, so we've talked about engagement before, during, and after the event. I want to take a couple of quick moments to cover a couple more slides, and then we'll stop for questions and answers. We mentioned one of the benefits of hosting an event in Engage as opposed to just creating it from your calendar is communications. We are going to be doing much more deep integrations with calendars and invitations. So you'll see the ability to send invitations with a rich visual body. I demonstrated that for you. There'll be even more calendar integration coming in early 2026. You'll also be able to leverage Engage for announcements. We saw that in the demo, reaching people across Outlook and Teams as well to drive demand and awareness of your event. Part of that will be making that event link look amazing. Right now, we see far too many events being shared with a purple link or a blue link that is not the prettiest thing in the world. We're going to light that up with an event card, very much like you see in your event listing. So when you paste in a link, you'll get this beautiful visualization of your event, and over time that will become interactive. So you can actually, someone who receives your announcement can actually register right from the announcement itself, for example. So we've got some exciting stuff coming in how you can reach and engage people in the flow of their work. And finally, event updates. This is one of the features I'm looking forward to as an event organizer. It's the ability to, within your event feed, post content as an organizer that is a little bit more like an announcement and a pinned post. It shows up with in a special visual way in the feed so that people who are looking at the feed see it. But you'll also be able to use it to reach your registrants, your potential audience, the people who didn't come. So you'll be able to use it for things like the follow-up saying fill in the feedback form and sending it to just those people who attended. Those kinds of scenarios will be coming over time with event updates. So those are a little bit further out, but they're definitely on our sites. Another reason to host events and Engage, we saw this in the demo, is that event listing. And when that event listing comes into Teams, it just becomes even more magical. So that using a community to collect related events is just an immediate benefit of hosting those events in Engage as opposed to just from someone's calendar. And we are going to be bringing new capabilities for you to discover events across the entire organization without having to go to one community at a time. We're going to keep the details of that announcement to ourselves for just a few more months, but I can guarantee you're going to like what's coming for cross-organization event experiences. So to summarize what we've talked about, this slide will be a great one for you to keep as a reference. These are some of the biggest features that we've talked about. I'll actually put this image in chat so that you can download the image of it and keep it until we have the slides ready. And then before we pause for Q&A, I think we had a couple of quick housekeeping announcements. Allison, do you want to do those?
Yes. Oh my gosh. So good. Thank you so much, Pallavi, Giovie, Dan. I feel like I even learned a few things, and I am with you guys all the time. And thanks so much for all the questions that are coming in. So we'll address those shortly in a second. But if you missed the beginning of the webinar, we've got 2 upcoming events literally within the next few days that if you're not already a part of, would love for you to join. Tomorrow is our last First Friday in 2025. This has been our AI for Communicators series, and we're kind of taking a little bit of a different spin tomorrow. So would love for you, if you're a communicator, to join us. And then next Tuesday, we've got real life customer spotlight with Tiffany from Micron, kind of sharing behind the scenes about how they're using Copilot adoption and Viva Engage. And she's got benchmarks and numbers and some best practices for you to learn from. So we would love for you to kind of join and be a part of the conversation there. And then In case you missed it, we are announcing season 2 of the Viva Engage Masterclass. You all, thank you all so much for showing up earlier this year for the masterclasses. We're going to do a season 2. The sessions actually just went live the other day, so you all are probably the first to register. So get your seats now, add it to your calendar. They're going to happen every other Monday, kind of alternating time zones for everyone to be included. And I'll drop a link in the chat, but would love for you to join. And if you don't know what we're talking about, Dan, if you go to the next slide, earlier this year, we hosted master classes where we went deep and into very specific topics. We brought experts along. We have all the content for this for you all to take, grab, use, repurpose, whatever you need to. And they're at the link there as well. And so we've made these available. We've made the decks available. We've made the recordings available, whatever you need. So especially if you're new to Viva Engage or you've recently launched this summer, like many of you have, and you're kind of coming up for air a little bit and going, wait, should we start doing events in Viva Engage, or how do we do some of this? These are a great way for you guys to get started as well. Okay, cool. We will, and we'll share the event for the EY event too, kind of coming, especially if you're not a part of our customer community, let me know and we will add you there. That's kind of the first way to get the inside scoop with all of the events coming up from our team. So yeah, we talked about the First Fridays, and a little gift for us. We have a LinkedIn course for you to take for free, especially if you're a communicator all about AI and communications. So we have so many great questions in the Q&A, so thank you all so much for properly using the Q&A. I want to give you all gold stars. You might be better at this than some of our Microsoft colleagues, so appreciate it. Hearts for you all. But one of the things that I wanted to kind of ask and address, Paul Aviv, I know you addressed it in the Q&A, but I just want to kind of bring it to the recording as well, is when you're asking customers to use the LEAP program, what is a good kind of benchmark of an event of what scale should they reach out and kind of yeah, what's kind of the benchmark for that?
Yeah, no, for sure. So the Teams Event Services, the LEAP team underwent a rebrand. So you'll see in the link that now it's the Teams Event Services. There, beyond the 20,000, it's mandatory for you to use the Teams Event Services. However, we do want to call out that regardless of the size, even if it's a 5,000 event or a 10,000 event, if you're new to this, if this is your first time experiencing this product, or if you have like a really high stakes event that, absolutely everything needs to go perfectly, we highly, highly recommend. So short answer is that beyond 20,000 is mandatory, but all sizes, 5 to 10, 15, if you have any doubt in your mind, you should 100% get this service, because it's going to help you throughout, from the event creation, the planning, to the real-time execution and the post-analysis, all of that, right? So 100% encourage you to go through that service.
Especially the first time. After you've done it once or twice, especially below the 20,000 level, you'll know what you're doing and you may not need the services anymore. But take advantage of the expertise for those first early high-stakes events.
Okay, great. Another question that just came in from Chris, thanks so much. He's got a couple questions in there, but one of them that often comes up from our customers, not only about events, but just like everything in Engage, is notifications. Are you all doing any work around event notifications? And is there any kind of thoughts around that or anything you can share with that?
Yeah, no, for sure. I think notifications are really important. We've also learned from organizers that the needs of notifications is super customized. They want to have a little bit more control over when and what they want to send across, right? So definitely we have notifications for like an event starting soon and so on and so forth. But one of the things that Dan pointed out, which is event update, that's going to be one of the key drivers on when and what you notify your people who are going to be joining this particular event, right? So think of event update as a sort of a reminder or like a notification of a post about anything that's important related to the event. An event organizer can send that across before, during, or after the event. That's something that is also something we plan to have by the time we have GA in spring. So look out for that. So that is what we would say is your more customized notification control, other than the basic notifications that anyway exist for like event is starting now, new posts in the event, people have replied, and the usual notifications that you're aware of in Engage.
Yeah, and I would say, Chris, and anyone else who has thoughts about what your desires and needs would be in this space, shoot Pallavi an email. And your email, Pallavi, is?
I'm just going to put it in the chat. It's
Okay.
a tough spelling.
So yeah,
I was gonna
this
say
is
Chris
something we'd
knows
love to hear
Pallavi
from you guys.
well. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, sorry, go ahead, Dan.
It's Chris. This Chris. I was like,
Yeah.
I wasn't sure.
One of the Chris's, right?
One of the Chris's, yes.
Okay, and then one of the other questions that that came up kind of in a couple different ways was about the recordings. Is where are the recordings stored, and can folks edit the recordings after the fact? And what's kind of any best practices around that?
100%. So we think about it, we have two events, right? We have community events and then we have storyline events. For community events, the event recording is always stored in the community SharePoint itself. And for storyline, it's stored in the creator of the event's OneDrive. You can 100% across both storyline and community events always update the event recording. There's a very simple update recording process that you will see. And both organizers and co-organizers can do it at any point of time. So you have full control over modifying it to suit your needs to update that.
Yeah, and in short, Pallavi, am I right that if the recording is updated or changed, it's just a matter of putting a sharing link into the event page?
Exactly.
Is that right?
If you literally just have to put in a link and click one single update recording button, and that's it. It's going to update for all attendees.
And pro tip, Clipchamp does, which Clipchamp is the new stream, does have the ability to trim video. I strongly encourage you to edit the video, actually cut it out, resave it, and update the link. That's a better practice.
Great. Looks like we have a live question. Andy,
Great.
Feel free to come off mute, come off video. You should be able to, and introduce yourself and ask your question.
Hi, my name's Andy. I work for Vodafone in the UK. A couple of people I've been in chats with from this group before. Just to do with the community meeting side of things, which is very exciting. Where do those recordings belong to the community, or do they belong to the person who created them? And if there are restrictions on recording for the people who are trying to create them, do they impact whether they can be recorded in the community or not? Because we have recording restrictions in certain places, but communities are not as restricted in the same way.
Great question.
Yeah. So the community, when you have a community meetings, the recording is going to be in the SharePoint. Events in a community can only be created by admins of a community. So by that virtue, you would have some restriction on, who can just start a recording and create that.
But the team's policies that manage recordings for meetings will also affect the recording of meetings in
100%.
Engage. It is a Teams meeting that just happens to live within the context of a community. So you will have to think through those recording policies.
Yeah, because if the meeting itself doesn't belong to the person, then they could circumvent the restrictions that we've placed on that person by recording it in a community.
Yeah, so that's something you'll have to think through, and how to map your compliance goals with your business objectives. But and Pallavi, is it the creator of the meeting that ends up getting the recording originally? Is that right?
No, it's directly in your SharePoint in a community meeting.
No. But it comes from it is the creator's token that is used to create the recording in the first place. So if there's several organizers, it's the person who created the event, the organizer, not the co-organizers, who must have recording capabilities in Teams.
And just lastly, is that something that can be turned on and off? As in, we could have broadcasts and meetings, or both or neither. So if we didn't want meetings within communities, could we disable it?
Yeah, Pallavi, once we're in the VES world, there's going to be one policy, which is event recording, that applies to both meetings and broadcasts, correct?
Correct. But there will also be a policy whether you can do meetings and town halls, right? So if you did want to control via that more broader policy, Andy, you could, right? You could just say that within this tenant, we don't want folks to be creating, these particular users to be creating meetings. They wouldn't see that option to create meetings or broadcast, one or the other, whichever policies you want to have.
Great.
So to add a little bit
we can catch up some other time.
Yeah, to add a little color to that, there's Teams policies about who can create events, which cover today town hall and webinar. When our features roll out, they will be actually an event. Even though it's called a meeting and it looks and feels like a meeting, it is an event. So it's the event policies that will apply, not the meeting policies at that point in time. So you can either control who can create events, or you can control who can record events. And you may have to create a process through which someone is given that policy for a day that they're doing an event and doesn't have it the rest of their time. That'll be something you'll have to align. Complicated. Good question though, Alice.
Good complication. I just wanted to wrap with one thing. There was a couple questions in there about mobile, and I just wanted to say that these experiences are coming to mobile early next year. So if you want early access to this, please reach out to myself, and then I'll kind of get you guys all connected. But I know some of you have raised your hand and you really want it on the Teams mobile app experience. So that is kind of coming to the Teams, the Engage experience in the Teams mobile app, right? That is coming early next year, and I know that's just right around the corner. So if you are itching for early access, let me know. The other couple bombs that were dropped in the meeting were communities and teams. So if you hadn't heard about that, or if you want more information, again, please reach out. Would love to connect you and kind of get you ready for that. But be on the lookout. There's going to be lots more announcements of that early next year. And I think that's all we have time for. Thank you all so much for joining. Hopefully you learned a lot, and hopefully you've got some really good insight going forward as you're starting to plan for 2026 and the events that you will host in your communities. If you have any other questions, reach out to us in the Customer Connection community. We'd love for you to be there. If you're not already there, drop your email in the chat and we'll add you there. And then also too, don't be a stranger. We will share the recording. We'll share the deck. We'll be very generous in the things that we share. We want you guys to all have this information and keep running and be empowered at your organizations. So, all right, sounds good. Thank you all so much. Have a great day. Have a great happy holidays, and we'll see you next year. Bye.